Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our garden. I'm going to do a beginning of May garden tour. So if you're brand new to our channel, welcome. I'm Shawnette Lancaster, and we garden in a Zone 9A, and our Zone 9A is not like California's Zone 9A as far as temperatures. We're usually fairly cool. In fact, today's around 64 maybe. So anyways, let's take a walk together today and show you guys all the pretty things that are blooming. And I'm going to try to be a little bit more detailed than I typically am. This is one of our moon gate arbors that my husband designs. We actually have 5 of them on our property. And I wanted to start this way today, but I think what I'm going to do is go out and then over to the left and around, and we'll kind of come back. But anyways, I wanted to start here today just to mix it up. My husband planted these petunias. I'm really proud of him because he's just starting to get into gardening, which is so cute. And of course I love it because of course I'm trying to help him become a garden addict like myself. So actually, you guys, I might come over this way and start, primarily because if you hear that bell, we have some wind going on right now, and I don't want that to hurt your ears. So I'm going to try to be more thoughtful in everything that I share with you guys today. But this moon gate arbor, you guys, if you're not new to my channel, know that this is one of my favorite ones because of the roses. And we have 2 roses on this arbor. We have a Cecile Brunner or Brunet, and we have a honeymoon rose. And the Cecile Brunet or Brunner is blooming right now, and she's just really magical and beautiful. I'll show you another way to see this too, because you might be able to see the flowers a little bit better. But she is so pretty. And today, because the sun's out, I swear whenever the sun's out, it makes my roses smell better. She smells really, really good. So anyways, and if I come inside the moon gate arbor, let me show you. Let me turn it back around so you can see this side with those roses on this side, because I feel like they're all going towards the sun. Isn't that beautiful? I just think it's beautiful and magical. So I went to church this morning with my mother-in-law, and she's just such a sweet lady. But the service today was really good. It talked about obviously being a mom, but also it was a good reminder for me to really count my blessings for everything that's going on in my life. And so it was just really good. I haven't been to church in a long time, and I think I needed that. So, and I'm not trying to be all religious, so that's not what my channel is about. I just wanted to share that. In these 2 pots right here, let me back up a little bit. So there's 2 big pots. I mean, they're huge. They both have an earth angel rose, and they have some succulents in there, my hardy geraniums that I absolutely love, and then trailing down, oh, I just forgot the name, but I'll think of it in a minute. But I have this beautiful vine, and my $5 roses are blooming. The red one over here has turned out, so that one is done. But if I come over here, the yellow is just about turned out completely too, but it ended up being a beautiful rose. And this too, we thought it was going to be like a dark coral, is going to be like a darker pink. So again, as I've mentioned in my prior videos, you never exactly know what you're going to get. So anyways, that's those pots. Let me come over here and start over here. Let's do this. Let's come over here and talk about the plants that are over on this side. So I'm going to have those roses. Foxgloves are all over my garden. They're native plants in our region, so I don't buy seeds. They just pop up wherever, and we just let them do their thing, and they're magic and they're beautiful. I have some peonies back there, and I'll show you my other ones a little bit more advanced. And if you watched my small video yesterday, I showed you guys the plants that I planted from our purchase at Godfrey's Nursery yesterday. But here is some violet profusion salvia, and then on the other side, I'll try to take you guys over there, there's a bumble blue, really pretty as well. Looks almost very similar to the violet profusion. And then I have some bugleweed, and that looks really pretty. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. And then I have, I don't know what type of evergreen this is, but it's just grows very slowly and so pretty. Then I have Veronica next to that, and some dianthus over to the right of that. And I also have some nepeta back there that's growing, and lots of daylilies. And I still need to divvy these out or divide these out. If you guys watched my channel last year, I still have these, and I have a lot of them. One thing that I always like to encourage anybody who has rock gardens or anywhere you can tuck in hens and chicks, they're just a really pretty staple in your garden. So if I come down here, you're going to see I tuck them everywhere, anywhere that I can. I didn't plant these ferns. They just spontaneously were deposited by the birds, seeds or what have you. And so we have those. Here's another one of our $5 roses right here. Let me see if you guys can see it a little bit better. There we go. And I'm trying a different lens today on my gimbal to see if you guys have more view access, just to make your viewing a little bit better. This is a Dutch iris that's just about done, but just really pretty. I definitely want to get some more of that. And then down there, I think this is a sunshine logelia, if I can remember correctly. I apologize. Hopefully you can see that better now. And then I have lots of heuchera. Most of my heuchera in my garden has been divided out over and over and over again. And I really love this rock section right here where it has the trailing succulents coming down. I just think that's pretty. And this is a $10 Japanese maple that we purchased about 5 years ago on clearance, $10. So we have a couple Japanese maples in our garden that were $10. So don't be afraid to purchase things, even if they look like they're not in the best shape, because you'd be surprised. You might not have a pretty tree or perennial or shrub that first year, but the next year it'll come back and do well. So it'll save you guys some money in the long run. If you're like me, that's what I try to do. I noticed just this spring, this fern is also popping up down here, and that's another one I didn't plan. And here again is another classic example. We have moles in our yard, and well, we don't have a yard per se. We have a rock garden, but anytime a mole makes a muck, I usually do something like this and plant something in them. So I'll just pop in hens and chicks and just let it be a statement on its own. More daylilies over here, and more of my heuchera. And then I do have a tiny wine 9-bark right here that I'm very excited to see. When it grows out, this will fill in this whole space, which will be beautiful. But the leaves kind of looks like octopus tentacles when they grow out. And Laura with Garden Answer has one, and she has the full-size 9-bark, but this is the tiny wine. But anyways, I loved it so much that I obviously had to get one. And then this is, you're going to see geraniums throughout my garden. They're one of my staples. I love them. I think they're absolutely beautiful. Lots of color, texture, and the leaves. And I have so many different varieties, and I won't be covering all that today, but definitely wanted to show you that. This is a Gora that I purchased yesterday. Let's make sure you guys can see it. And this is the Proven Winners Stratosphere White. And I'm hoping that will do well there, but we'll see. And then down here, more daylilies. Another thing that I propagate quite a bit every year is my Autumn Joy. In fact, I've probably only purchased 2 plants, to be honest, over the years. And Autumn Joy sedum is very, very easy to propagate. Typically, I just break off a good section, pop it in the ground, and then just make sure I give it a lot of water. And down here, Creeping Jenny, I always want to caution on that if you guys are growing that, because if you put it in your landscape, it's going to take over. So I'm constantly trying to pull that out. Directly in front of me, this is a beautiful Sunjoy. I'm going to show you some Sunjoy Neos that I purchased yesterday. I'm so excited about them because the color is bright orange. And one thing that I try to do throughout my gardens, if I scroll up, and I'm going to try to do a little bit slow so you guys can see, but one of the things that I try to do intentionally is plant groupings, or not even groupings, more of just tucking in color to make sure that all the beds pop in some way or another. Like I usually try to have burgundy, yellow, and a little bit of color as much as I can, just to infuse the beds, and it also just kind of draws your attention. And this bed right here is a ruby red bud red falls, and she's beautiful. Last year was her first year in the ground, and she did amazing. Let me make sure you can see her. She did absolutely wonderful, and excited to see her put on her leaves this year. Last year I had a bunch of I just forgot the name. Anyways, I had tall plants, globe thistle, and they were beautiful. I loved them, but they just took over so you could barely see ruby red falls. And so I took those out. I also had some grass in here, some carex, yellow grass that I took out and moved that as well to try to have more low growing plants in this bed. And remember how I just mentioned how much I love my geraniums? Well, this is one you can no longer purchase. This is a white one. Isn't she pretty? And I don't remember the name of her, but I absolutely love her. She just really stands out at nighttime as well. And she's very much like a, oh, I just forgot the name of that one. This is going to be a fun video, you guys, with my memory. Anyways, Tiny Monster, but she's white. And she doesn't self-seed, so that's the downside. So the only way I get new plants of her is I purposely take out, like I would cut this in half, divvy it in 4, and then transplant those sections throughout my garden. But isn't she pretty? So really, really love that. Again, you can see if I come down here, more hens and chicks. This will take off in a couple years and be branched out over here as well. I have some dianthus in this bed. Again, autumn joy. And I did transfer out some boxwoods out here for just more interest in trying to formalize my garden a little bit more. More heuchera. And here's another geranium. This one, she really can take off. And I've had to actually pull her away from my Gomphrena in there as well, just to give her more space. Otherwise this geranium will sort of suffocate or hide all the other plants. So I probably will end up moving these geraniums. I'll leave that one, the white one, but the other one over there, just because of that reason, to make sure that my other plants have more space to grow. I also have coral sedum in there, which looks really pretty around that tree. And then I have 2 new roses. One of the flavorette is not doing as well. It's not as big, but I'm wondering again if that geranium over there is crowding it out. But I have 2 flavorets. I have the flavorette apricot and the flavorette peared. And the flavorette peared already has some blooms on it, or buds, I should say. So we'll just wait and see how she does. Let me see. Let me go up. There we go. So there's that. So very exciting to see that. Here's more tiny monster that I propagated and moved out. We've got some more dianthus. And so you can see there's kind of symmetry across the bed in my colors and my plants. And again, it's intentional to have symmetry across the board. I also have some Oregon iris that you can get. They're native. You can go out into the woods and dig up clumps of those. And they just look absolutely beautiful. The original place that I had them, I'll show you in a little bit, they're not as big. So I think they really prefer more sunlight that they're getting over here. So this is so pretty over here. And then over in these 2 pots right here, I have my Julia Child's tree roses in each of those black pots, along with some more dianthus, hardy geraniums, and some wave petunias. And I think I have a Supertunia Vista bubblegum in each of these as well. So those will be beautiful. And these tree roses are taking a little bit longer to get their leaves to push out new growth versus my Queen of Elegance that I'll show you in a little bit. So again, if you're brand new to our channel, thank you for joining us today. One thing I want to mention is that, don't mind that, if you see toys out in the garden, we have 5 dogs. And then if you see our hoses out, just disregard that as well. But 2 years ago in April, end of April, we decided to swap our garden for grass, because we were not very good at growing grass. And it was just always dead and yucky by the end of the season. So actually by the end of July or beginning of July sometimes, depending on our water, how much rain we would get. So we swapped that out for rock. And so we have a complete rock garden. And it's just really, really pretty. And I love it. And we have about 120,000 pounds of rocks that we've used in the last 2 years. Last year was about 100,000, but we've added quite a bit more rock in some new areas that I'll show you. So this spring, one of the things that we did change in this garden right away was out here where the circle is. Let me make sure you guys can see it okay. We had a fire pit right in the center where the fountain is. And there's red pavers I think they're pavers on the inside. And then directly in the center of that, we had actually our fire pit. And so we would have chairs, a chair here, a chair there, a chair. We didn't have that metal bed at all. And we decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and transfer that into a flower bed, because I need more gardening space, but I also love fountains. I don't have that fountain on today. One thing I've noticed about both my fountains is they take a lot of water, and it seems we get a lot of wind, so it blows the water out. So when I do my June garden tour, I'll try to have them both on so you guys can see them, but they are lovely. They're beautiful. It just seems like they go through water pretty quickly. So again, and then 2 years ago when we designed this, we just had the fire pit, we had chairs. And when I was drawing this out, I wanted it to be a circle. So even though you have a circle on the inside, these rocks going around it is also a design of a circle. And we had 8 4-foot beds, which I've actually expanded upon that this spring as well. So this bed was here. This one was already established, meaning this was done 2 years ago. And again, same color plants, even a boxwood in the center just to try to formalize it, and more hardy geraniums. And I try to use different color sedums too. This one, I can't remember what the name of that one is, but it's probably one of my most favorites because the color has some similar tones as my heuchera or coral bells. And then along with my hens and chicks of this variety has some nice burgundy in there as well. So pretty, you guys. I wish you could be here in person. It looks fun it's always great to share my videos, but I always wish people could see my garden in person, because well, it's just so beautiful. One thing I've noticed in our garden this year in particular is we have more butterflies and ladybugs than I've ever seen in our prior years here on the property. So that too has been very exciting. Now here was a prime example of another mole hole, and I just planted in, this is not lemon coral sedum, this is Angelina sedum, and so I just make opportunities for wherever I can, so that I don't have to buy more rock. Eventually, sometimes it doesn't always work, but a lot of times if it's right by a bed, it does work well just to pop in something else like hens and chicks or a sedum of some sort. So this bed was here too. This is about 4 feet. And then this next bed, we had the inside rocks because I needed that for the structure to make this look like a circle. So if I come back again, let me give you guys a big view of it. So if you're looking, it should look like a circle around. Okay, and so we had the outside of these rocks. I'll wait till my gimbal catches up. So we had the circle of the inside of these rocks over here, but we didn't have the outside. So what I did this year is I just took rock and put them on the outside. And so each of these 4 feet beds, when you're looking up from above, what it ends up looking like is a giant flower. So, so here's another one of the 4 feet beds as well. Let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see all the way. And so again, the circle looks like a giant flower. One of the things I also added is this little table and chairs on this side. And in that pot right here, it might be a little difficult to see, but I have a Midnight Masquerade Penstemon, and I have Superbena Sparkling Amethyst, along with the Pink Cloud little petunias, the mini vistas this year, which is really pretty. So that's beautiful. Love, love that. And then if I look straight across, you're going to see I also have another little seating area over there. And I purchased that this year from Wayfair when it was clearanced. Or actually it wasn't clearance, it was on sale. So I just thought that was really pretty. And I'll talk to you about those pots in just a second. But let's back up for a minute so I can talk to you about what's actually planted in this circular bed. So I have more bugleweed, or I just forgot the formal name for it. But this is the black ajuga. And yeah, black ajuga. And these little annual geraniums down here, I planted in the house and grew them from seed. So that's kind of fun, and they're doing well. When I first planted them up, I did a video, and I'm sure people were like, oh, those don't look so hot, but they're actually doing great now. And I also again have the sparkling Superbena, sparkling rose Superbena, and I have some candy tuft, I think, or candy something, that white, which is really pretty, and more geraniums. And I have 2 different types of boxwoods in here as well. And I have the Renaissance new boxwood, and then this year I bought the Proven Winners. They're fairly new, the Independence version, so I love those. And so that's this circle, and it's pretty full, I'm not gonna lie. Now, one of the things I want to show you too is I planted 4 roses in here. Make sure you guys get a good view. And these are the Oh So Easy Italian Ice. Well, if I come back, hopefully you guys can see, this one's about ready to bloom, but I'll show you one that it's actually blooming. So there's that. And the Italian Ice Oh So Easy roses are so pretty. So these are just low growing, low maintenance, and they're, once they start blooming, they should bloom all throughout the summer. But aren't those pretty? So, and the colors on the Oh So Easy Italian Ice are, so far from what I can tell, is yellow, pink, and some peach. So kind of a tritone colors depending on the temperature outside, from what I can tell, or different phases. So that is this bed, and I just think, again, it's just really pretty. And be creative in your gardens. Like, if you don't like something, turn it into something else. So again, this fire pit, we just used it several years before, and before we even did our rock garden makeover. But this last spring, I mean, just a couple months ago, we just added small round rock in there, and then added the fountain. So you can be creative with things that you have in your garden, especially things you don't like. You don't have to live with it for a bit if you don't want to try it out, but if it's not working, you're not using it, you want to repurpose it. Oftentimes that's what I've done most of my life, even with my indoor items. You can do some fun projects to reimagine things. So this pot has salvia, and these are the Proven Winners 30-second planters. So basically it's a plastic container full of a bunch of Proven Winners plants that you literally just pop in, and it really does take about 30 seconds. And then I did add a few additional pieces, but in here it also has the Pink Cloud and one of their salvias and This is one of the daisies. And this, by the way, these holes that you're seeing is not from slugs. We had hail damage about 3 weeks ago that really did a number on all my plants, and we hadn't had hail like that before. And then back there I tucked in a potato vine that is a Monrovia version. I'm not sure the exact variety, but just pretty. So I have one of these pots on each side of this little table. So one there and then one on the other side with the same exact stuff. And then I bought that little bunny, and it too has my annual geraniums, which they're just kind of little workhorses. They did so well and saved us a lot of money just by buying seeds and growing those in the house. And an easy plant to grow, especially if you want instant gratification on your growing skills. Now here's another one of my geraniums. This is a little pink one, and I think she is absolutely beautiful as well. She reminds me very much of the little white one, but she's tinier. And I have propagated her all throughout my garden as well. And then next to that I have this little purple one, and I have a better view of another one. So, and the other thing is like I mentioned earlier, it's fun to see your plants propagate and self-seed themselves. So that's another little geranium. And once you can kind of tell what they are, then you don't pull them out because you can enjoy those. Now back to the rocks. We have small round rocks going in each of these walkways. So this goes out to the circle. If I went to the right, that's where we started our garden tour. In a little bit, I'll take you over to the left. There's another walkway, and then straight across, hopefully you guys can see that, there's another arbor that has all the round rock. And then on the other areas, we have crushed gravel, and that works really well. And then we just have small rocks and boulders like this one. I just did like a triangle, and then I planted in there some more of my tiny monster geraniums. And here's a better example of how pretty these are. So let me go out. So those look really nice. And I love those. Again, I don't need to go through each one of these beds because they all have the similar plantings. But when I get over there, I do want to show you one of my heucheras that's a little bit different. And I try to plant similar plants, but the nice thing is if you have an area that's more shade, typically you might be able to find a plant, the same plant, but in a different variety that will handle your shade a little bit more, or your sun. So, and then down below here, I have a pot with tomatoes and sandwort perennial, sandwort white flowers. That's really pretty. I also have 2 Anaheim peppers in there, and I'm hoping this pot's gonna be big enough. I'm gonna be honest, I overplant everything. That's one of the things, one of my 10 lies that gardeners tell themselves. I won't overplant this year. Well, I do it every year. Anyways, and then I just popped in a hens and chick in there as well. And I have a double calabacoa in there as well. So that'll fill out, and we'll have fresh tomatoes here, which will be lovely. And then if I come back over to this way, we'll start doing the outline of this bed. So again, I'm going to just look up one more time because aren't those just so pretty, you guys? Do you guys have climbing roses? And if so, will you drop them in the chat which ones you grow? Now these little roses are dainty. They're not big roses by any means. They're just sweet little pink roses, but they're so pretty. And when they do phase out, they're kind of a light pink, and then eventually goes to just kind of a white or a cream colored. Okay, now let me come back over here and we'll talk about everything that's growing on this side of the bed. So down here I have more heuchera. That's a stained glass heuchera. This is that beautiful white geranium that I was mentioning that I have earlier and showed you, and I love her. I want to have way more of those, but I can't find them anywhere online. And I am part of a geraniums group on social media, and they said that one's extinct or no longer available to anybody. So if you have it, great. So, and then in these big pots, I should also mention I have that same white geranium as well. So at least she's tucked in. In fact, here she is making herself known back here. So isn't she just so pretty? So there we go. And then over here, I did tuck in some proven winners next to this heuchera, if you guys can see it. This is I forgot which version this one is. Hold tight, guys. And why can't I see the name? Oh, this one's Jazzberry. So I have Jazzberry, but I also have some Paradise and Bubblegum and a few other versions that I can't remember right off hand. But if I come back over to here, that bowling ball I painted. Again, I like spheres. So, and you'll notice in my garden I have a lot of round beds. I really love that look and structure. But I painted that pink. Once these flowers fill in, it'll just kind of be tucked in and look like a you know, a piece of art in your garden. This is a week's rose, and I don't remember the variety of this one. And then that one right there is or this isn't a rose, this is peonies right there. And looks like it's going to open fairly soon too, which I'm very, very excited about. And did I show you guys this? If I did, please forgive me, but I got to show you. These are my earth angels, and these look like peonies, and they're about ready to open up too, so I'll definitely do another video when those open. I'm probably going to buy more of those because they're so beautiful. Back down to this bed, you can see I have ADHD a little bit, but these are more of those Violent Profusion, another of the berry Supertunia, more Autumn Joy Sedum, and then I do have some Rebecca back there. Oh, and that Weeping Spruce, that's one of my favorite accent trees that we purchased last spring, and she's just so pretty. Let me come back over here, make sure you guys can see her well. But she's already pushed out all her new growth, and now it's turning to the standard green. But when she pushes out her new growth, it's just really pretty green, light green, just stunning, but really nice little fixture. And again, if you're new to my channel, I still think it'd be funny to put a face in there so that looks like hair going on each side. Wouldn't that be hilarious? But anyways, I probably won't do that, but just a fun idea. And then down here I have some Wine and Shine Weigela, and this is a Veronica, and it's last year didn't do as well, so it may be coming out, but for now I've just left it. And there is where I planted my Proven Winners phlox. These are the Luminary Backlight, and those are the white, and those will be beautiful. I have some Unanimous down here, and those are the salvias that I planted, grew by seed. Now I'm having some issues with slug. Despite my efforts with slug bait, I still see a bunch of them still being munched on. I have some dahlias back there, which they probably won't start showing their heads for another month. And it looks like some of my dahlias that were back here didn't come back, which I'm actually okay with because they kind of fall over and push my plants forward. Down here is a Love Song, or First Love. What is this one? First Love Veronica, and I purchased her last year, and so I'm happy that she returned because a lot of my Veronica is only zoned to up to 8, and so I typically try to push a little bit because we are zone 9A. That's a phlox as well, and this one is, no, that's not what that's, oh it is, it's a Nikki. So that was not a Proven Winners, that's a little Nikki. We're going to call it Little Nikki. I don't think it said little in front of it, but there you go. And there's more of these peonies, and here's another Oh So Easy Italian Ice. She was a leftover one, so I popped her in there, and I just think she's so pretty. I don't know if you can see, but there's a bee, looks like a little, what kind of bee is that? Anyways, there's a little bee in the center of that, but look at the roses. And this one back here, if my shadow wasn't in the way, is kind of orange when it's starting out in this one, so it's really interesting. More pink cloud. And then back there I tucked in a Midnight Masquerade Penstemon. She is new to my garden this year, and I was really excited to find her. I think these are Strawberries and Cream Phlox, and I just bought the roots from, I think it was Walmart, and grew them up a little bit in my greenhouse and then popped them out here. Again, here's another one of my geraniums, and I'm not sure on the variety of this Spirea. I did cut her all the way back, like she was maybe 6 inches off the ground and just wood, so I'm already surprised how big she's getting, and I will probably keep her pruned so that she doesn't crowd out my plants like she typically does. Down here are some new bee balm to me this year that I'm excited about. These look like low growing ones versus my taller ones, which I love. More daylilies, and I've said this in my other videos, I wish that some of my gardening friends lived close by so that I could dig up some of these daylilies and share, because that one needs to be divided into about 4 plants, and I also don't like it when they're done blooming and how the leaves can kind of get brown. But anyways, that's okay. And then over here, again, another good use of space, just tucked in some hens and chicks down there. This is another type of geranium, and I don't remember this one, but this, just look at the leaves though, how different they all are. They're all just a little bit different, and I love them. And then more peonies. This is another phlox, and this is a lavender. And then back here to the left, it looks like this needs some iron, so I'm probably going to need to give some iron tone. I can tell by the leaves. But back there, those are a lighter colored lavender, and I wouldn't call them purple. I would say lavender at best, and they're definitely not purple. And then down here I have a Nepeta right here, and I think this is the Cat's Meow. Yep, this is Cat's Meow, and I bought a couple of those this year, so excited about those. And then back there, Purplicious Veronica, again, only zoned to an 8, but I just planted these yesterday. I got these yesterday at Godfrey's as well, and I'm hoping that they will do well. Now, one thing I'm noticing is a lot of my dahlias that were in this area didn't come back this year. So again, I'm okay with that, but you know, a little bummed. Down here, this little ajuga is called, let me see if I can see it better for you guys. It's called Blueberry Muffin Ajuga, and she's almost done blooming, so I'll cut her, you know, cut the tops off. But eventually I'm hoping she's going to trail down over these rocks, and that should be pretty. More autumn joy. Again, more of that same exact heuchera that I keep dividing out in my garden. More Veronica right here, and I think that this is the First Love as well that I planted last year, and I purchased those from Romance Gardens. Here is another one of the Supertunia Vistas, and here's my favorite little, or second favorite little geranium. Actually, the only one that's really my favorite is the white one, but I love all of them. But isn't she so pretty? And then if I come up here, this rose right here is called Burst of Joy, and the reason why she's called Burst of Joy is she's the brightest crayon in your crayon box. She is bright, bright orange. So I can't wait to show you that. And I don't know why or how I even have purchased an orange rose, but I've grown to love her. And I want to encourage you gardeners to, despite what everybody says, it's always fun to have pops of color. In fact, this year I'm incorporating more of that. I think it's a really good idea to have color in your garden. First and foremost, it just sparks interest to go see what that is, but also just beautiful. And then down here I planted some erodium. This has pretty little pink flowers. It looks like it might be done blooming this year, and that's okay. Next to it is some Gora that I planted by seed, and so we'll see how those do. And let me see, I don't want to miss anything. Oh, this is back here Bunny Tails grass. So if you guys can see the grass back, let me see. I apologize, guys. There we go. There's some Bunny Tails grass in there that I also grew from seed, and I'm just curious how those are going to look. I think that'll be, I thought the name sounded fun. And over here we have more of my foxglove that has spontaneously deposited itself and about ready to bloom, so that should be beautiful. In this pot, this crazy looking tree is called a Deodar cedar, and not appropriate for this space, but she is in a pot, so I'm going to keep her here as long as I can, and then eventually I will plant her out in other locations. And then directly down below this daylily, I have a butterfly candy buddleia. And so when I first planted her, she didn't look so hot, and I purchased them from Creekside with Jenny, and she said just hold tight, it should be fine, or her team did. So it's pushed out quite a bit of new growth, and it does look better. So we'll see. Again, down there I have some Gora that I planted in the house by seed. Here's another Veronica, and you can see Veronica's not zoned for my area, but some of them come back, and then the other ones I just hope. I think that this geranium down here was mislabeled. This is supposed to be a phenlum or plenum, a plenum. See the pink? It's supposed to be double pink flowers. That looks like just one of my standard purple ones that I already have. So I'm not thrilled with that. I'm kind of bummed. But that's, what am I going to do, right? So down here is another Supertunia Vista. This is the bubblegum, and another one of my spireas. So if you're noticing, I do have color, similar plants and color throughout my beds, again for consistency. And these are still babies, so just wait till next month when everything just fills in. And then over here I have some Rudbeckia back there, and I have some more Nepeta. And then I did buy a lot larger size buddleia yesterday, and I can't remember the name of her. It might be raspberry. But anyways, I think she will be beautiful. And then I have a red rose. This is one of the $5 roses again that my husband purchased for me. And if you're, again, brand new to our channel, this last winter, it's probably in January or February, we purchased a bunch of emerald green arborvitaes for $3 a piece. Like, who gets to do that? So we purchased 20 of them. So there's some down here. And then if I come over this way, down that long side bed, there's several down there as well. So I'm excited to see those continue to grow. There are 3 baby ones I'll show you in a minute. Those I purchased from Amazon for not the same good deal. They were almost $20. But they're doing well, and they will eventually catch up. Up here on this arbor, by the way, let me back up. I have just wave petunias in those baskets, and then I have a Eden climbing rose on each side, and I'll show you in just a second, but they are starting to grow. Edens are slow to develop, at least in my area, to grow in height. This is their first full year in the ground, and they did really well as far as just growing, I guess, underneath the ground, because I don't see much on the top, but they definitely have grown this season. So I'm anticipating the next couple years that they will do even better. Back there is some phlox that I transplanted back there, and I used to be really nervous about transplanting phlox, and it turns out it's no big deal at all. And if you remember that round circular bed up at the front, I said I transplanted my carex, some of my carex, so I put them out here, and I think that'll be pretty. And it's harder to water back here, and I do all my watering by hand. Yeah, you're probably thinking that's ridiculous. It is, but I never thought I'd have my gardens this big, and so now I've got to figure out, someday I will get a water system in place, but for now I am the water girl. This is another Japanese maple, and this is the first one we put in our garden years ago again. I think this too was also a $10 Japanese maple. Down below, you can start to see the dahlia right there is starting to pop its little head up. And for that one in particular, I actually propagated that one. I cut off some of the top, about this height, and then I dipped it in rooting hormone and put it in a little cup with soil. And about 6 weeks later, it developed roots, and so then I popped it up my garden. So now let me come over here very quickly and show you the Edens, what they look like today. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're not blooming by the end of next weekend, but isn't that so pretty? So we still they're not like super developed yet, like we see on TV, or on other channels, but they're getting there. And so we'll just have to wait and see. And she's a nice, another little big, hopefully you guys can see her. She's pretty too. So love, love, love. And since I'm over here, let me talk to you guys about a few other things. I have 3 love song roses. 2 are Weeks roses, and 1 is an heirloom. And so one is here. This is one of the Weeks roses, and then back there is another Weeks rose. So those will be beautiful. This is another ajuga, and I think this is also a blueberry muffin as well. And I did purchase some coneflowers. Is your coneflowers, if you're used to gardening, do you guys have coneflowers, and are they up yet? Mine, they're not up, so I don't know if they're coming back or not. And then down here I have another Veronica, and I think I purchased this one at Walmart last year. It's purple, it's cute, $10, and again, really thankful when anything comes back. So here we go. And then in this little section right here, I have a Wine and Shine weigela, and I think that's a Sunshine weigela, and I planted them kind of close, and I'll probably end up moving one of them, but last fall is when I purchased them and just wanted to get them in the ground before the weather turned sour, so that's where those are at. I bought this grass yesterday as well at Godfrey's, and this, I said it was something, but it's actually a Machanthus zebra, so very excited about that. I love grasses. And then another Unanimous, and a lot of sedum that you see I didn't plant, so I don't know how it's getting in a whole bunch of different areas. Now, a lot of it I have moved around in my garden, but I didn't plant that inside the Unanimous. So, and this down here is Boom Chocolata geranium, and I love her. And she's supposed to be taller, so I'm hoping it's just because it's early in the season. And the primary reason I purchased this one, she has purple flowers, but I love the color of her leaves, and I just think it's so pretty, especially if we eventually plant something lime green over here. It'll just help that pop. I have quite a bit of tick seed or coreopsis in here that has been coming back pretty faithfully every year. More, this is a purple Superbina, so that'll be beautiful. Proven winners. And then more of my tiny monster along with a Superbina back there. And then back here I have 3 luminary ultraviolet pink phlox, which I think will be beautiful. I don't know if you noticed this, but I really like phlox. And I will talk to you more about that bed in just a second. But down this lane right here, these are the additional $5 roses that John purchased for me this spring. And so they've been planted, and we thought they were all red. Well, it turns out that was incorrect. She's kind of a pink, oops, I apologize, you guys. She's kind of a pinkish red. So in the camera though, I think it's going to show up as red. And this one over here, they don't last very long. That's one thing I'm kind of bummed about, but maybe all roses that one. I've just never paid attention. But she's kind of a pink one that's phased out. Not sure what the color of this one is going to be yet, but she's definitely pink. And these are like a hot pink, like hot pants pink. And again, I would tell you the names if I knew them, but they were not named. And that's okay. And then I do have some red ones. I love this one. I never thought I would like a red rose, but I think those are really pretty. So I'm glad that I changed my mind about adding color this year, because we're going to go all out. Now this one looks like a coral again, but I think it's going to be a pink based on the other rose that I showed you up front. This is a Sensation honeysuckle, and you can see it's starting to finally get to big enough so that I can let it climb. And a lot of my plants that I purchased this year were quart size, so you can't expect much the first year on a quart size plant. And then my husband, besides making those arbors and selling them, he made me these obelisks, and I love them. He won't sell he doesn't want to make any more of those, although I'm going to try to beg him to make me one more, because I guess they're really difficult to plant. I'm going to come over here just because I turned around and saw this from my eye, and that is a jam that I planted yesterday as well, and I purchased that from Home Depot, but it's so pretty. I just love the orange, and I thought, why not add it, because I have that Burst of Joy bright orange rose anyways, so that should be pretty in here. And then I have another cat's meow right here, Nepeta, and then over here I have opening act ultra pink phlox, also proven winners, so I'm excited about. And then down here you're going to see lots of baby coreopsis. Those are plants that I grew from seed again. That's going to be a big white dahlia back there, and this is Sexy Rexy. I didn't make that name up, it's her real name, but she is such a pretty rose. She's got like coral pink roses and absolutely beautiful. I hope she's as pretty this year as she was in the past. And then down here I have some more Violet Profusion salvias, and I think the one behind it is a bumble blue, and that one actually looks like it might be pink. Yeah, that one's pink profusion, not purple. These two are bumble blue, not proven winners. This one I believe right here is the pink profusion. More unanimous. Lady's Mantle is another plant that I really love. I had some die last year. Again, they are zoned for 8, and I don't know if it was the sun, maybe it was just too hot. But anyways, that was kind of a bummer. There's a pink rose going on back here. Maybe you guys can see it. So it'll be pretty to see her. And I'm going to talk to you about my favorite bed in my garden in a minute. That's right there. But let's come over here and talk about this circle. So when we designed this garden, we had the long beds. We had this big long one in the back and the one on the side, but we added more to that section, and I'll show you that in a second. But so this bed was a newer bed as well. It's 2 years old, and in the center I have a Hinoki cypress that will be kind of the focal point when she gets bigger. Now the bummer is Hinoki cypresses are slow growing, at least this one is. And then I have black mondo grass in here, lots more heuchera, Lady's Mantle, and I bought 5 new boxwoods this year. This is the North Star, and you're going to see throughout my garden, wherever there's boxwoods, there's probably going to be a little cage on top of it. That's just to help my male dogs not weeby on them, because they've killed several of my boxwoods this last year, which didn't make me very happy. That is a perennial grass. I don't know the variety. It's just a perennial grass, but I love the color. It does look dead. It's not. It's just the color of the grass. But again, I love all the different colors and textures in my garden. This down here is Elky or Elk geranium, and I think she is absolutely lovely as well. Just look at the pink on those, and she won't keep reblooming like my other geraniums, so once she's done, she's done. So I definitely am happy to show you that. This plant right here looks blue, and last year she was more blue than this year, but this is a bog rosemary, and she has pretty little pink flowers as well. I'm hoping that she does bloom, because last year when I purchased her, she was blooming, and that was in April, and she bloomed about 6 weeks, so I'm hoping we're going to see some action from her. We'll see. I have some echinacea or coneflowers in here, and I think these are like a burgundy, if I remember correctly. And this area you can see right now has dappled shade, so I did use the opportunity to plant some hostas, which I love. More geraniums, and this is sweet flag grass, and it likes water, and really fun plant to propagate as well, because it usually gets too big in the center, and then you just take pieces and put it in your garden other places. Another hosta, and another bog rosemary. So again, throughout this bed is consistent with the plants that I've done. Hi Kai. This is one of our little Cheweenies, our male dogs. Say hi Kai. And anyway, so this bed has boxwoods as well, and lots of different hostas and some heuchera. Heuchera? Is that right? Heucherella that I purchased last year. And I just think those are so pretty, and they're taller and bigger than my other heucheras, so I just like the contrast and the shape of the leaves. It kind of looks like a maple leaf. What do you guys think? So very pretty, and this bed looks really nice. Now, I want to tell you something about this cherry tree. If you saw my prior videos, go look at April, and you'll see this was a beautiful tree. And I said afterwards, it's not so pretty. It's got big cracks. It has holes all over her, and that's because we had wood borers. But an interesting thing happened. Let me try to find a branch. You see that branch right here? It's fairly thick. It's a couple inches. Well, one fell down yesterday. And what's scary about this tree, because it had wood borers and so much damage, it's hollow. It was hollow in the inside. Like there was no growth in the center of that tree. So this, she does need to come out, and I'm nervous because I'm going to keep procrastinating, but she's probably going to fall and end up hurting someone. But yesterday, no joke, the branch that fell down was probably about 4 feet and a couple inches in diameter, and that could have hurt someone if they're outside. Although it was hollow, it might not have been too bad of a a pain because it was light. It was really light. This is my Sentinel, Twombly Sentinel Japanese maple, and my absolute favorite in my garden. She's just so pretty. What's unique about her is her leaves actually start from the bottom and go all the way to the top, and her coloring is just so pretty. Again, we're a zone 9A, but you'll notice I'm tucking in geraniums, or not geraniums, maples, wherever I can. Now, I wouldn't pop her in the sun by any means, but I do have some that are in shade, and they're doing just fine, or in the sun. Next to that in this pot is a part of the Let's Dance series from Proven Winners, and this is a Let's Dance big band, and this is going to be her first, well, she'll be a full year, and excuse me, this fall. And I'm excited to see her. I'll show you another Let's Dance, a different variety that I planted last spring, and she's really done great. So if you can't afford a gallon size and you end up purchasing, or you're like me and it's a big distance to get to a nice nursery, so you end up purchasing them online from like Jenny with Creekside or Garden Crossings, don't be shy. Don't worry. Those little quart size will eventually catch up with your other plants, and it's just really a matter of being patient, which patience is not necessarily my strong suit, but in this instance sometimes you have to be. This is another Japanese maple, and by the way, that Twombly Sentinel was not on clearance. She did cost a little bit, but I purchased her probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and she's been in that pot for, well, since we first purchased her. We just put her in the down in the ground this last fall. This little maple, I can't remember the name of it, but I love her because she looks like a lollipop. She looks like a topiary Japanese maple, and I think she's beautiful. And so there is that. And then over here, this was one of our clearance items. And the funny thing about this Japanese maple is that she had a big, giant belly. Like last year, she went down like this, and the back was super short. So it looked like, what was that saying when you had a mullet? Party in the front, business in the back. So she wasn't super pretty. So anyways, I pruned her back. I think next year I'm going to prune her back a little bit more, just to make her look more symmetrical. And I forgot to mention, you guys, this rose over here is called Garden Sunshine. She's absolutely beautiful. She's a yellow climbing rose, and just the loveliest yellow, and no disease, lots of buds. And then last February, or this February, she was blooming. So, and I didn't prune her. I didn't cut her back. I didn't take her down. I didn't do anything other than fertilizer. And she is probably she might be the healthiest rose in our garden. I do see a little bit of brown spot, but we had about 2 weeks of solid rain, and I think that did impact black spot in some of my roses. But you know, just take care of it as best you can. So again, in my garden, I also have the boulders. This has creeping thyme in it, along with some more of that Angelina sedum, and I haven't had to buy Angelina sedum since I moved in. That's how prolific it is, and easy to move around your garden. So there we go. So that bed looks beautiful. Now this cypress right here, we did have 2 of them. One of them unfortunately died last year. We were given 2 last spring, and I love them. I loved it so much. It was so pretty. I'll show you where the other one was. And unfortunately the other one died, so we had to take it down. But she's pretty. I noticed she's got some browning in the back, so I don't know if she needs more water or if it's been too much water. And so before, I'll just show you guys, I had one here and then one on the other side of this bench. Now that bench only has a cushion on it because we have Chiweenies, and it has slats at the bottom, and I thought one of my Chiweenies had broke its foot, but he didn't. He's fine. But anyways, that's why I had to buy that, to keep him safe. In that pot right there, I have another Japanese maple. This wasn't a clearance one either. This one was purchased 7 or 8 years ago as well, and it's been in that pot. That pot's pretty big, so it's pretty happy, but it was on our back deck, and 2 alders had to be taken down. One actually came down spontaneously on its own. The other one my husband had to cut down because it was going to fall towards our deck. We didn't want that to happen. And then these pots right here, I'll talk to you about in just a second, but so let's focus on this bed. This bed is one of my favorites because it has my heirloom roses and it's just so pretty. Now the one thing I need to do is prune up some of these dead branches anyways, so that they can get more sun, because now it's primarily shade. There's sun in the morning. I think they get enough sun because they're blooming, but to give them more of what they want is more sunshine. This is Quicksilver, and this one's about ready to term, but she was beautiful. And then down here I just have some petunias, Autumn Joy, some carex, a tater tot arborvitae. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me see. Over there behind that little bird cage, and lots of burgundy glow ajuga. Now, one thing to mention about ajuga is if you need a good ground cover that's going to cover some space, the ajuga's it. Some people say it's invasive, which it depends what you consider invasive. I want it to cover my ground, so to me it's not invasive. And it's pretty easy to dig up and transplant. So next spring I'll probably move some of that around to other spaces in my garden. But she's pretty big. And if you guys don't remember, I also said when my pink leaves of the cherry tree came down, it was going to make everything kind of look mucky. Well, some of them are still pink. Otherwise, some of them are just looks like dead yuck down there. This is a really pretty carex grass, and a couple weeks ago it was really fiery red and orange. It's tamed down a little bit, which usually does in the summer. It's more of a brown, but still very pretty. I have some sprinter boxwoods in here. I have 5 outlining this side that were going to be topiaries, and I changed my mind and planted them up last fall, primarily because I didn't know what to do with them in the wintertime. I didn't want them to die. So, and this bed again, more ajuga and more boxwoods, another tater tot. So again, there's symmetry across the board. The other thing that I have in this bed is some amazing daisies that are very pretty. And they're right over here. So there we go. And more petunias out here just for some color. Now this is the third first love that I have in my garden. And remember I said I had 2 weeks, and then I have one that's an heirloom. She's got buds on her. Hopefully you guys can see, hopefully you can see them. And she will be beautiful when she starts going. There's some bigger buds back here. And then this is my second favorite rose in the garden. This is Plum Perfect, and boy is she so pretty. Hopefully you guys can see her. Just absolutely beautiful. And down here she's got another bud. And she'll bloom a couple times throughout the season. It's not just a one and done. Heirloom roses are not grafted roses, so you don't have to worry about the roses ever changing to something other than what you purchased, which is lovely. But I also find roses that are not grafted seem to be healthier. They don't have less black spot and so forth. This is a pretty, I think this is a French lavender, and I've had these in the garden for 2 years now, or 3 years actually, and 2 years. This is its 3rd year, and I just cut it down really low in the spring so that they stay nice. Okay, so here's this arbor. I'm going to talk to you about that in a second, but I'm going to slowly turn around so that you guys can see what I just showed you, the big view. Try not to do this or it makes you sick. So here's the bed that I just showed you. And then if I come over here, this is a bed that my husband put in last spring. I think it's been a full year now. And last year we had just wildflowers. We had zinnias, we had cosmos, we had a lot of bachelor buttons, which I'll never plant in there again because I fell over in the center and it just looked sad. But this year we planted that up, so I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. And I'm going to also talk to you about the new projects we also added this year, which is beds back there, that new arbor. John built that little mini orb that I'll talk to you about as well, which would be really pretty with climbing flowers on that little mini orb as well. But I haven't done anything. Now, very quickly, I'm going to come back over here because I didn't really touch on this. This was 12 feet that we added, well, 2 years ago, right after we designed some of this other bed. And so where you see all that lupin and the Shasta daisies right here, that was added 2 years ago. And to save time and really money that first year, I just did a bunch of wildflowers, which worked well. And so that was 2 years old. There's another GM that I tucked in yesterday, looking beautiful. And give me just a second now. So there's lupin in here, lots of hollyhock. The only thing about this bed I feel bad about is it's not pretty when these lupins are done. I was going to take them out before they bloomed, but pretty much the day I said I was going to take them out, the next day they had blooms. But look how pretty that is. I mean, I would feel bad if I took them out now because they're beautiful. But afterwards, you do get the greenery and the leaves are interesting, but it doesn't really go with the rest of my garden. I don't have any more wildflower patches. But I also love my hollyhocks back there. So that's a little bit of a dilemma. We'll figure that out. And this area, so let me back up again. There's two pots. Let me make sure you guys can see them. There's two pots that these are Better Homes and Gardens, the burgundy from 1999 or 2000, like they're old. And I painted them black last year, just again repurposing what I already have. But in here I have blue kazoo, and what I love about blue kazoo is it actually has two-toned leaves. In fact, your spireas are a really great addition to your garden because they all have different colors. I showed you some of my other spirea that was like a lime green and orange, but this is a blue kazoo, and blue is absolutely beautiful. Isn't she pretty? Sometimes especially when they first come on, the leaves will look like they'll have a little bit of a bluish hue. And last year I pruned them back too far and they didn't bloom. This year they are going to bloom. So they bloom on old wood, so that'll be exciting. I haven't seen them bloom yet. And now let me talk to you about this bed. So again, as I mentioned, last year this was installed, and this is using one of my husband's arbors that he makes. We purposely made this one higher than our circle out in our main area. And so this one's higher intentionally because we live on a mountain, and this has a big steep decline. This is way better than it was last year though, because he added a ton of rock, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But in this bed we have verbena, that Bona something. I can't say the name. You guys will learn I'm not really good with enunciations, and I always forget the names because we have a million different plants. But anyways, in this bed I did plant up the Supertunia Vista Paradise, and I'm hoping the camera, yesterday I watched a video and it looked like they were red. They're not red. It's actually like it's a combination between fuchsia, maybe fuchsia and red, but it's definitely not red. Anyway, so those look really pretty. They're filling out nicely. And if you buy any of the Vistas, you know they're going to do well, but you also want to make sure you're fertilizing them with Miracle Grow, or I'm using this year until I run out my Proven Winners water soluble. I also have a really pretty Monrovia potato vine, and I just think she's so pretty. She had different colored leaves earlier as she was branching out to now they're kind of more of a light purple with some greenery in there, but really pretty. She's going to trail over. And then this is from last year. This is my Silver Decandra Falls, and I didn't do anything. It's just coming back, so that's kind of exciting. I planted a bunch of purple alliums out here, and it just said purple allium, so I don't know the variety. But I don't expect much this year because I planted them so late in the season. So next year this bed's going to be absolutely beautiful. In the center of this, the structural piece, is the second Red Ruby Red Falls red bud that we purchased just a couple weeks ago and planted up, and there's a video of that if you guys want to go back and see it. But she's going to be beautiful, and Miss Ruby gets about 5 feet in width and about 8 feet in height. It's sometimes bigger or smaller depending on the circumstances, but I think she'll do well here. Her leaves look great. Really pretty tree. You can't see a lot right now because she's tiny, but she'll be beautiful by the end of summer. She won't be huge yet, but she'll be beautiful. And then again, there's my Autumn Joy that I propagated. And you'll notice I kind of used them like a little hedge. Works great. And then in this bed, similar to my other Oh So Easy, these are Oh So Easy Peasy roses. And they look like the same color, which is kind of funny, as the Paradise Supertunia Vista. But this is a hot pink. A really bright hot pink, and so there's another little bud on there, but eventually these will get big, you know, not too big, about 2 to 3 feet, and fill in these little areas. And I put 4 of those in here, which again will be beautiful. I also have some ladies mantle in here, so this bed will be beautiful. And my hardy geraniums I tuck in anywhere and everywhere I possibly can, so those are in here as well. So as the season progresses, this bed's going to fill out and be beautiful. And I kind of wish I would have put some of the Supertunia Vistas on the edges. Like last year I did the wave petunias, and it just huge masses all the way around. It was just, you guys, it was so pretty. In here I also have the Superbena Sparkling Rose in here as well, but I noticed there's not a lot of growth on them yet, so I'm not sure what's going on with those. And now let me turn around and show you the last 12 feet. And don't look at that yet, just close your eyes. Here we go. I want to make sure to talk to you guys about that. So I said 2 years ago we added that back bed, and then we added another 12 feet this last spring. No, last year. So last year. And we just did zinnias. It was so pretty. I took a lot of pictures from inside our field back there, and with the old fencing, and then it would come over to down here. You would see some of the rust, you know, the rusted raised bed. It was just magical. So pretty. But in this bed I have lots of things I planted. Some things I just planted recently from Garden Crossings, and yesterday from Godfrey's. But I have some bee balm. I have the Treasure Trove, which is brand new to Proven Winners this year. Although it looks like it needs a drink. It's not like in the the heat, I guess, today. That's going to get pretty tall back there. And I also bought some purple fountain grass that's tiny back there. And that directly across, I believe, is I think it's the butterfly candy, either the grape or the raspberry buddleia. So we'll wait and see how those do. And then down here, I just tucked in some calibrachoa. Those are not proven winners. The difference between proven winners and a standard calibrachoa is the proven winners, they call them super bells, and they're more prolific in general. But I had calibrachoa last year that went over the edges, spilled over. So I think that's the look I'm hoping for. We'll see how that goes. And I have another boom chocolata here and some salvia that I grew from seed. This bed will fill in. It doesn't look like much right now, but it will. And then back there I have the pink profusion salvia as well. And then back here is some rudbeckia that I also grew from seed. That'll be beautiful. And more salvia that I grew. And then I have the another salvia from Proven Winners. I think this is the Rock and Play in the Blues. And then I have some Super Bina sparkling amethyst up front here. More coral sedum. More of my Tiny Monster, and I don't know if this is, oh, that's a calibrachoa too. There's 3 purple ones there, and then I have some denim and lace Russian sage, and that is a Kodiak Dervilla that's still very tiny. And then out there I have a Winecraft smoke bush that's also Proven Winners, but it's about that big, so I don't know what to do about that, but other than try to be patient. But over here, these are wave petunias in these baskets, and then down here on each side of this arbor I have the Generous Gardener. And those are going to get big. Those should be beautiful, and they should climb both sides of this arbor. So this is one of the arbors again that my husband designs and sells. And the moon, or the mini orb, I guess that's what we're going to call it, is brand new this year. He just designed those, and I love those as well. And this back bed, this is also brand new within the last month. We have more boxwoods, winter gem boxwoods. We have purple fountain grass, more of the sandwort, perennial, coral sedum. Let me see. I did plant some powwow berry echinacea in here as well. They're really tiny because I grew them from seed. I'm not even sure if they're going to bloom this year. And then back there, you're going to see there's 3 reminiscent pink roses. Those are going to be beautiful. And I forgot to mention in one of my back beds, I also have a reminiscent coral, but it's really tiny still too. But what my hope is that these Supertunia pink bubblegum vistas will just really fill in the space and go out. And I've already fertilized them once. I need to fertilize them again early this week. And then we ran out of space. Kai, get out of there. Come on. So we planted our blueberries here. They're just temporary there. I'm not sure what we're going to end up doing with those, but that's where they're at for now. And then this is my sick bay boxwoods that my little boys, Kai being one of them, Kai, get out of there, have wee weed on. So they're in sick bay. I keep saying I'm going to take them out, but part of me is like, I hate taking out plants because it just makes me sad. That means they're forever gone. And then back there I have some peachberry ice heuchera that looks like they may need to be moved. I don't think they like this direct sun back here. But my other heuchera doesn't seem to mind it. Those are the ones, again, I grew from seed. And then yesterday I just tucked in some purple fountain grass. So there's 3 of those in there as well. So that is those sections. So if I haven't shared this, we have done so many projects this last year. Now, this last spring, I should say. Now, this Moongate arbor John installed last spring, and we didn't have anything growing on either side. This year, I'm starting to grow Dress to Thrill Bignonia. Isn't that a funny name? That's a cross vine, and she did have, well, she still does, some orange. Let me unzoom and then zoom back in. Well, that one's termed. Let's show you a better one. I'll tell you. There's a couple on this side, and I'm not sure how they're going to do because this is primarily shade, but a pretty orange flower. And we took out quite a few of our cosmias that the hummingbirds loved, so I was hoping this would be a good alternative. Plus, it's going to get 25 feet, which I could have probably just done with one, but again, I want impact immediately, so those I put one on each side. Now in here, here's a classic example of why you need to be patient with quart size. This is a Fairy Trail Cascade trailing, oops, I think I just picked a leaf off, hydrangea. And these are beautiful. And yesterday we're at Godfrey's. I did seed a lot larger size that I wish I would have got, but they were $30. And so I just told myself, you don't need that, just wait. Yours will grow. So they're not going to do much this year other than establish roots. And then As I mentioned earlier when I started my video, I shared that John is starting to get into gardening. He planted fuchsias, and it's so cute. And I love that he's starting to get into gardening. So he asked me this morning on Mother's Day if I'd like to put these out, and I said I would love to. So those look really pretty there, and they'll fill out and look beautiful. And then in here I just have some white petunias. I bought quite a bit of potato vine. This is the Proven Winners version, and I can't remember the Sweet Caroline. Is that it? Anyways, they're not looking hot, but I planted them way too soon, not the right temperatures, and I knew better, but I was impatient. This is the other hydrangea that I was mentioning, the Let's Dance Can Do. So she's part of the Let's Dance Proven Winners. She was a quart size last year. Excuse me. And this is what I mean. I need to be patient because look how beautiful she's going to be. And the nice thing about the Let's Dance series is they will bloom all summer long. And she actually had like these just really kind of Victorian flowers, really, really pretty. She's got lots of little buds on her, so I cannot wait to see her do her magic. So that'll be pretty. And let me just let you guys glance this way. So I think spring is my absolute favorite time of the year because there's so much color, just absolutely so much color. That maple behind this bench was purchased several years from my bonus kids. And the only thing I'll say about this is it was on our back deck and it was growing forward. So it's still growing forward, but that's okay. I tried to stake it last year, but it is what it is. I don't think I'm going to get it any taller back the other way. Here is the Supertunia Vista bubblegum, and those are annual geraniums that I planted last year that I grew from seed, and they wintered over, which it's an annual. They're not supposed to, but it did. And then if I come over to this bed, I have an inexpensive hydrangea that my husband purchased on clearance from Freddy's. It's doing great. And then back over there, I'll talk to you about that bed in a minute, but that rose is the Zephyrin Druin. I don't know, everyone I see on TVs talks about how fast they grow. She's not growing fast for me, so I don't know if it's just too much shade or dappled shade and it's just not enough. Now let me show you one of the plants that I am very, very excited about. Yesterday I bought 3 of these Sunjoy. This is the Neo version, orange, and just the prettiest staple. And she's going to fill in this area very nicely, but it'll be a nice pop of color that goes along with my burgundy and the green and the chartreuse of the spirea back there. She's going to be lovely. And I love, love, love this hosta. I wish I would have purchased. I don't even know where I got this. I've had it for years too. Isn't that green so pretty? So anyway, she's beautiful. Another, just forgot the name. That's a double knockout red rose that John bought a couple years to a clearance. And again, I don't typically like red, but I wasn't going to tell him no thank you. So again, I'm just growing to love more color in my garden. This is another one of those Sunjoy Neos, just so pretty. And I showed you guys the yellow ones earlier. This is another hydrangea that he purchased for me. And I have lots of black-eyed Susans that will get taller. And then one thing I forgot to mention is over here, Fall in Love Sweetly Anemones. I purchased 3 of those, and they are so pretty. So I can't wait to show you guys those. I planted those last fall, and they bloomed, and it was just really, really beautiful. Here is more of my geraniums and my annual geraniums that I grew from seed. Some of them look better than others. I don't worry about it too much because as long as they have 2 leaves at the bottom, when you transplant that, or the newer leaves that are coming on, it'll be fine. And then there's more. This is that tiny monster. And what I mean by tiny monster is they grow pretty big. She's all over my garden just because of that. My spirea, or not my spirea, my heuchera, same thing, this version. I don't know if I got this at Walmart or Fred Meyer's, if you guys have a Freddy's, years and years and years ago. She's literally everywhere in my garden just from propagating. So another tree, a small specimen tree that we purchased was this Golden Falls. Miss Golden Falls is not doing as well as Miss Ruby, and I'm not sure why. So I'm just going to keep my eye on her. Not a lot I can do. And then I promise you guys I'm winding up, but I want to show you guys back here. These were stones that I had out, and I'm not sure where to put them, so we're just going to pretend they're not there. I have more spirea that kind of brightens up this area, along with some trailing succulents in that corner, which is pretty. I have some daylilies, dahlias back there, and I also have a Metamorphosa Japanese maple, but it's a dappled shade, so I think she's going to be fine back there. And then if I come into the garden itself, there's another Sunjoy. So the Sunjoys in general are just really pretty specimen, but they do have some little sharp pieces, but not too bad. but I don't usually touch them anyways. There's a geranium. This one's the creeper that's also in the front circle. And I say creeper just because she takes over her space. But she looks like she's thirsty from the heat. This hydrangea right here we purchased last year. She never does well, or she hasn't done well last year, and this year she looks like she's getting chlorosis again. So I don't know what to think of her. I have lots and lots of Shasta daisies in here. And let's see what else. Another sunjoy. And then I did plant in the black onyx pearl penstemon back here. Just really nice color in the back. I just think it's so pretty. And she's starting to bloom as well. And then I have two weeks roses back here as well. This one I believe is a yellow one. She's got a big bud on her. And she didn't look hot last year, but she's doing better this year. Some dahlias back there, but I see some slug damage. And another weeks rose right here. And I think this one's a pink, if I can remember correctly. So that's this bed. It's not my favorite bed, but I'm eventually going to need to reimagine that space. Now this used to be a vegetable garden. I don't know if it's because of the sun or the, I don't know what, but we weren't great at growing veggies. We did great on zucchini, great on some tomatoes, but so we just decided to grow flowers. And last year I had lots of proven winners of salvia out here. It doesn't look like any of them came back, but in this bed in particular I have white and pink dahlias. This Veronica right here I grew from seed. She's pretty tall, so I'm excited about that. And then here's some more sedums that I transplanted myself from other plants. Another Veronica I grew. So this bed will be full, and these are petunias down here in this black box that I grew from seed, and I did cut them back to get them to fill out more. And I just recently planted these outside right before a trip that we had. And then this bed has the Walker's Low Nepeta on that corner. Lots of sage. And I cut these back way hard because they were taking over the whole bed. More geraniums, and this is a new geranium to me last year, and I hope you can see them. They're kind of interesting. They're different, but the leaves are very similar to my other geraniums, but the flowers themselves are very dainty. I have some Gora out here and some annual geraniums. That one didn't die. It didn't die back. And then some new annual geraniums that I planted up this year. More autumn joy, and I think I'm going to take my zinnias and get these planted out here soon too, just to fill in these beds more. There's some sage that I grew by seed, some more Gora. Oh, actually this is tick seed or coreopsis that I grew from seed. A sage right there. And that is also a Rudbeckia that I grew by seed last year. I think it's the Sunset. Anyways, it didn't die back either, so I have that again this year. And I believe this is another Veronica that I grew from seed. So these beds will fill out. And do you see all those hens and chicks and that sedum back there? That's a lot. Over here, if I come this way, you're going to see these 3 raised beds that my husband designed for me. It's got a boxwood, and it has wave petunias, and they should fill out. Lots of my hardy geraniums in there as well. So those will be beautiful as the season progresses, and just kind of more of the same things in these beds. So I won't spend too much time on these. I will just give you at least a glance by. And then kind of the same things over here in this pot. And then back here, one thing I will mention is I grew anise hyssop for the first time last year, and it smells like licorice and root beer, no joke, and it tastes the same. But they had very pretty purple flowers, and they bloom from April all the way to the end of the year. So this year they're a little bit slower in coming back, but they are coming back, which is very exciting to me. And then this back bed back there, that's another one of our half moon gate arbors that John designed, and that basket has wire vine. That's what I couldn't think of earlier. And then some wave petunias, which will fill in that basket and be beautiful. I have some peonies back there, but peonies take forever if you purchase them by root. Also, you have to be careful not to plant them too deep, which I didn't think I did, but that's still, they need to be up higher. And some cosmos that I planted last year, some of them are coming back, so that's kind of a win. But I think I'm going to plant zinnias back here this year. The cosmos was absolutely beautiful, but I think I want a little bit different look back here, so we'll see. Okay, we are almost done, you guys. Thank you for your patience. Hopefully you're still here. If you're not, that's okay too. But while I'm walking, if you haven't subscribed to our channel and you like gardening and you like repurposing and or planting new things, new design ideas like a complete rock garden, then we might be the channel for you. And it's still early spring here, so for us on the Oregon coast, it takes a little longer than what you might see in warmer climates, but you just stay tuned. It'll be beautiful eventually. Let me give you a nice look this way. There's just a few more things that I want to show you. do you guys think? Yay or nay for rock garden? It's a big yay for us. And then here we go. Look at those roses again. Aren't they just so pretty? Don't mind that bucket. One of the things that we did today too, or yesterday, the reason why we went to Godfrey's, besides I purchased plants, but was to get a bunch of annuals to fill in my mother-in-law's flower pots. So we'll be doing that in the next couple days. This bed is the first garden bed that I designed, or we designed, I should say. I designed it, but John gave me permission to, we had an ugly old deck that went from there all the way down. And when I mean ugly, it just was falling apart. So we took that out. John built us a new deck with hardy plank. I think that's what it is. And then this was our very first bed that we installed. So when if I come back this way, when I moved in, we had nothing. There was nothing out there but grass, and most of the time, not pretty grass. So just talk about transformation, especially the last 2 years. My daughter-in-law, both my daughter-in-laws brought over flowers today, but one of the funny things is one of my daughter-in-laws came over and I was slightly horrified because the inside of my house is so dirty right now. But again, it's because we're just outside every day and we have, I don't know how many hours that we have in projects this year, but it's a lot. So this bed again has, heuchera. Don't mind if you see dog potty, I'll try to avoid that. More geraniums, lots of geraniums, and this is the one that's kind of beastly. She kind of takes over too much of her space as well. This is our weeping pussy willow that I trimmed. In fact, I cut it to here, and there's already, this side is almost down to the ground again. So they don't like to touch the ground, and she needed to be limbed up anyways. So I'm going to probably cut her back even further next year, knowing that she'll do that and be fine. Here's a $5 rose, and then this rose back here is a rose, a week's rose, and I don't remember the variety, but John, anyways, there's another one of the $5 roses that John bought me. But this rose is about ready to bloom as well. She's got lots of buds, and she's tall. She's a big rose. And then lots and lots of daylilies, more of my hardy geraniums. And I promise you guys, we are just about done. I don't even think I'll take you to the side garden yet, because there's not much change from my last video. These are pots that I recently planted up with some proven winners, but also some standard calibrachoa and some purple fountain grass and a little yellow dahlia. And I did the same over here. And don't worry, they look tiny now for these big pots, but they will fill in, especially that fountain grass. It'll get tall and beautiful. And then if I come over here, here's a little Japanese maple. I recently purchased for the side yard, and like true gardener fashion, I changed my mind and put her in a pot. And she also has the sandwort in there. It's beautiful. And I have boxwoods in these pots, and also annual geraniums that did not die off. In fact, they didn't die off and they're blooming, so that's always a nice surprise. More wire vine, and that wire vine I actually propagated by putting in water, and it did great. Creeping phlox in these pots, and this is a tree rose, and it's a knockout rose, and it's not healthy. In fact, I'm embarrassed to show you guys these, but just not healthy at all. This one, again, not healthy. And I am using rose tone, and I don't know what else to do, so if you guys have any suggestions for that, let me know. But this is our front porch. And then in this window box, last year I had our lemon cypress. It was really pretty, but I did take those out and put them in pots out in my garden. And so this just has the wire vine, and then I needed something because I forget to water a lot up here, so I just put my annual geraniums. They don't like a lot of water anyways, so it seemed like a good fit. And these are annual geraniums that are also blooming that did not die off. So it's acting like a tender perennial in my area. There's a boxwood, more of my hardy geraniums that didn't die back. But what I will say about these is they have pretty thick stalks, and these thick stalks were clear out, so I had to just prune them back really hard. But you can see some of them are either about ready to bloom. Well, I guess they're all about, they have some buds on them. So we'll see. This has hostas and wire vine. These hostas never do really great though, because it's primary shade right there. Same with this one. So we'll see. But so I did tuck in a geranium back here, 2 geraniums. We'll see how those do. But isn't this cute down here? This had succulents in it, and I took the succulents out, and I had an extra hosta, so I tucked that in. And here's a classic example of me propagating, taking one of my heucheras and dividing it out, and now I have new plants. Sometimes they don't look great, but if you just hold tight, even if they look terrible all season, I promise you by the next year they will be fine and do well. So let me end on something beautiful, because nobody wants to end it on a truck or concrete. So you know I'm probably going to take you, if you had to guess. here's these beautiful roses again. So I did want to tell you guys thank you so much for joining me today on Mother's Day of all days. I hope that you guys spoiled your moms. Being a mom is not easy. We don't have any guarantees on how our kids are going to turn out. But, you know, you're always very thankful when they do. And then if you get grandkids on top of that, you know, this world is not the happiest as it used to be. So just a lot of prayers for them as well. But anyways, you guys, I hope all the mothers felt loved and cherished, especially today. And I just want to say thank you guys for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe. And again, thank you so much for all that you guys do. And it's kind of interesting. There's an ambulance at the top of my road. Anyways, you guys, I'm fine, so don't worry about me. But anyways, you guys, take care. And I hope to talk to all you guys very soon. Please subscribe to our channel if you love gardening. And that's it. Take care. Bye.